when we look at the processes of radicalization and violent extremism, the role of ideology and social media in radicalization is most important. And hence, we'll now look at the role of ideology and social media in the processes of radicalization and also in the processes of de-radicalization. The concepts of radicalization and de-radicalization are primarily defined by the assumption they make that there is a causal relationship between ideas and action. However, the causal role of ideas in informing behavior has been strongly contested and has thus far eluded and undermined radicalization and de-radicalization conceptually and practically. Ideology and radicalization. The concepts of radicalization and de-radicalization have continued to attract debate on their fundamental assumption of a causal relationship between radical ideology and terrorism. The debate centers around the assured causal relationship between the cognitive dimensions of ideology, that is, holding a radical ideology, and behavioral radicalization, that is, engaging in terrorism. Curiously, despite the emphasis on ideology and belief systems in government policies, and despite the way that the term radical implies behavior informed by radical views, a significant number of studies emphasize that cognitive radicalization is not a main driver of terrorism. However, understanding the causal relationship between cognitive radicalization and behavioral radicalization is important because it distinguishes the concept of radicalization from the other processes of mobilization, namely those that are psychological or behavioral. Hence, maintaining the concept of radicalization without sufficiently identifying a distinct causal process between ideology and behavior is untenable given the problematic use of the term insofar as associated policies and accused of creating suspect communities. The radicalization causal debate, both for and against, is premised on the distinction and relationship between cognitive and behavioral dimensions of radicalization. Now, let us look at the cultural systems and radicalization because ideology is also rooted not just in political systems but also in cultural systems. The analytical dualism is applied to the world of ideas by distinguishing between the cultural system and socio-cultural interaction. The former refers to the relations between the components of culture, such as bodies of ideas, theories, ideologies, and latter to the relationship between cultural agents, such as teacher to student. These are separated to avoid conflation and better understand the causal relationship of one over the other and how the people and the parts transform over time. Temporarily is fundamental to the approach. Agents are born into a world that is not of their making. In other words, they are born into a stratified world which constrains and enables their behavior by providing costs, providing benefits, but it does not determine it. Due to where agents are placed upon birth, they have vested interest in either maintaining or changing cultures and structures. Identifying signs of online extremism is one of the top priorities for counter extremist agencies because the role of media in radicalization is important. Social media platforms have become prime locations for radicalization content and behavior, and therefore, much research and practice nowadays are focused on detecting radicalization material and accounts that publish such material on these platforms. However, there is currently a limited understanding of how people on social media platforms are influenced by such content and behavior, and what are the dynamics of this influence. It is important to identify the role of social media in promoting extremism and radicalization from the standpoint of policymakers, experts, students, and citizens, because any extremism or a radical group or radical thought processes have potentials to present as security challenges for all the people who are mentioned above. Hence, all the stakeholders should identify the role of social media in promoting radicalization and extremism. This study should also aim to investigate main motives for radicalization and for joining extremism groups. In numerous examples have been observed so far on these issues in India and the world. As we all know, since the emergence of internet and social media and gadgets which are easily mobile, we can see that the people are easily brought into the trap of processes of radicalization. As we say that the role of social media is important in radicalization, the social media has been enabled by the technology of internet, and hence it is important to understand the internet and the process of radicalization. In the age of selfies, snaps, likes, and shares, the internet and social media have transformed the way in which people communicate. In early 2019, global internet penetration reached 57%, or 4.4 billion users, and the overall number of mobile social media users reached 42%, or roughly 3.2 billion people. Now, if we look at this survey, this means that people are able to share ideas, communicate, and interact more rapidly than ever before, including the audiences on the other side of the world. Radical groups have certainly leveraged these new mechanisms and platforms for communicating amongst themselves and to potential recruits. For example, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria has been known for producing sleek videos circulated on YouTube and Twitter, and has mastered new and emerging technologies and social media platforms such as Telegram, all to promote its messages and recruit new members in cyberspace. Radical groups methods for radicalization on social media and internet have to be taken into consideration before formulating any policy and plan of action to act against radicalization. Now, let us look at how the internet is used effectively for processes of radicalization. It uses the structures, dynamics, and aims of terrorist organizations to propagate its thoughts. This is done via videos, via images, and magazines, which are used as propaganda measures. Social networking sites are offering an open invitation to everyone, and hence it is easily used by these radical groups to propagate their thoughts. Messaging is also done via broadcasting through channels like Telegrams, YouTube, Twitters, etc. When we see at the way how internet and social media is used in radicalization, it's important to see how prevention of radicalization on social media and internet can be done. It can be done through leveraging artificial intelligence and emerging online technologies as it enables to use the web space effectively. Preventing the spread of radical content online can also be done with the use of internet itself. Legislative measures can enable in tackling the challenges of creating smart regulation, as rule of law is of most important in international obligations. Blocking content and access by the radical groups, hence balancing safety and freedom of expression can be done. Taking down and filtering the terrorist content online is an effective way. Countering the narratives of violent extremism and terrorism online is excellent method of propagating moderate views, rule of law, and obedience to international law. Deconstructing the terrorist argument is important to convince the individuals to de-radicalize themselves. Delegitimizing terrorist groups and their actions can be effective as it will take out the legitimacy behind their actions. Positive messages and alternatives to terrorism have to be propagated to ensure that radical groups' effectiveness and influence over social media is decreased. Building digital resilience and media literacy lies at the heart of utilizing internet in the process of de-radicalization. Thank you.